Hi, these comments are for Bilal, and I am Michael, and I'm getting ready to listen to your speaking practice test. I'm going to read your writing practice test, and I am Michael from OTC Online TOEFLcourse.com. So the first step is to get the rubric ready here for the independent speaking task. Secondly, let's take a look at the question. So imagine that you must decide between two homes to live in. One place is very large and is brand new, but it is very far from your place of work or university. The second place is very small and is very old, but you would be able to get to work or the university in less than 5 minutes. So which place would you prefer to live in? Explain why. Okay, so let's listen to your practice test now.
I prefer living in a large new apartment, even if it's far away from my work, because it has many facilities and also it will save my money. First of all, if I had a large place, I will have many entertaining facilities. For example, I could have a large TV screen by
Okay.
which I can reduce my stress after a long day at work. Second of all, if I had a brand new house, it will save my money. To illustrate, I will not ask for any maintenance for a time, and I will not need any plumber to fix any leaking water, for example.
Okay, so I think overall, listening to your practice test, maybe some minor delivery issues in there, but overall, I think it's a fairly strong response. So let's listen to it one more time. So I think I'm comfortable right now between 3.0 and 3.5. So let's listen to it one more time.
I prefer living in a large new apartment, even if it's far away from my work,
Okay.
because it has many facilities and also it will save my money.
Okay, so now you have your two support points around which you're organizing your response.
First of all, if I had a large place, I will have many entertainment.
So if I had a large place, I would have. Or if I have a large place, I will have. So don't mix your verb tenses there, right? So if I had, you're talking about a present impossible situation. So you want to follow that up with I would.
Facilities. For example, I could have a large TV screen by which I can reduce my stress after a long day at work.
Good connector by which or through which.
Second of all, if I had a brand new house, it will save my money.
No, the second problem, second language use problem there. So if I had, I would. If I have, I will. Okay, so go to Google. You need to study this. This is important. I want you to study real, unreal conditions in English grammar. So what you want to remember is there's three things. Three. Number one, present possible. If I have time, I will go to the store with you. Now, number two, present impossible condition. If I had time, I would go to the store with you. Number three is past impossible condition. If I had had time, I would have gone to the store with you. So you need to get better mastery over those real, unreal conditions, right? That's something you want to work on because you had at least two problems so far with that.
To illustrate, I will not ask for any maintenance for a time, and I will not need any plumber to fix any leaking water, for example.
So you got to work on that pacing also. So remember, with auxiliary verbs, I will not need or I will need. So when you have auxiliary verbs, especially when the auxiliary verb is positive, you put more stress on the main verb. So sometimes you're not quite blending the words within those thought groups like you should.
I prefer living.
Okay, so I think for this practice test, not quite 26. I don't think so. I'm going to put you at, uh, I'm going to say 22 to 24 points on this particular practice test. You had a couple of limitations in the language use area with your grammar, and then you're having some slight delivery issues with pacing. So those are the two areas I think in the delivery or pronunciation part of my course, you can study what's called thought groups and blending, lessons 41 through 44. I'm now listening to your integrated speaking task 2, reading, listening, speaking, campus related, so vocabulary is not too difficult on this one. I'm getting ready to listen to your practice
According to a
test.
letter in the campus newspaper, a student suggests that the university should build a new cafeteria in the mass building to help students to have something to eat between classes, and the university should increase the electric outlets to allow students to recharge their laptops. In
Pretty
the
good
same
pacing
way,
there.
the woman likes this proposal. She believes that it will be more convenient for students to have something to eat between classes, especially because the closest place to get something to eat is all the way across the campus, and students have no time for that. Moreover,
And students have no time for that. Students have no time for that. I would say it a little bit faster.
the woman thinks that increasing the electric outlets in the old math building will help students to recharge their laptops between classes, so they can benefit from recharging their laptops and do some works at the same time. According to a letter in the
Okay, so this one I think maybe slightly higher than the one you just did. Okay, so integrated speaking. My first impression, I'm going to say maybe 23 to 25. I'm going to listen to it one more time. It might go slightly higher, maybe. Let me listen to it again.
campus newspaper, a student suggests that the university should build a new cafeteria in the mass building to help students to have something to eat between classes, and the university should increase the electric outlets to allow students to recharge their laptops.
Okay.
In the same
And say recharge. Recharge.
way, the woman likes this proposal.
Let me look at that transition.
The university should increase the electric outlets to allow students to recharge their laptops. In the
To recharge.
same way, the woman likes this proposal. She believes that it will be more convenient for students to have something to eat between classes, especially because the closest place to get something to eat
To get something to eat.
is all the way across the campus.
Across. Be careful of those S's. Sometimes you're not putting the S across campus. Be careful of your final consonant sound.
And students have no time for that. Moreover, the woman thinks that increasing the electric outlets in the old math building
I would say increasing the number of electrical outlets.
will help students to recharge their laptops between classes, so they can benefit from recharging their laptops and do some works at the same time.
And do some work. They can benefit from recharging their laptops and then do some work at the same time. So work is an uncount noun. It doesn't take an S, a plural S ending, right? So I think overall I'm going to give this a slightly higher 23 to 25 points on this particular practice test. So in this case, be careful of either medial or final consonant sounds. Make sure you're pronouncing those sounds as clearly as you can. All right, thank you. Integrated Task 3, this is from TPO number 61. This is reading, listening, speaking, academic. So this has the conceptually dense type material in it. So the course content more complicated, vocabulary much higher. So this is a tough one. So let's see how you did with this particular practice test.
The reading passage explains an academic concept called diffusion effect, and the professor in the lecture gives an example to further illustrate this idea.
Okay.
Diffusion effect, according to the passage, is described as the effect of sharing information between two study groups, which led to useless results. The professor gives an example of a study done by some experts to evaluate the effect of exercising activities during work to reduce the tiredness.
Okay.
One group was asked to do some exercise activities every day, and the other group was asked to work as usual. The two groups shared this information, so experts weren't able to get good results because the both groups did the same activities.
Yeah, I'm going to keep you the same, I think, 23 to 25 points. So
The reading passage explains an
the
academic concept called
the pacing is the area I think on this one where you got to work on a little
diffusion.
bit. So, and what helps you with pacing is two things: is you pause after 4 or 5 stress words, and then that creates what's called a thought group. And then within the thought group, you try to blend those words together. That helps you speak more naturally, and that also helps you have more fluidity, I think, because this is the concern I'm having right now. Where is it? Here. Yeah, I'm concerned a little bit here. Generally, well paced flow, fluid expression. It says speech is generally clear with some fluidity of expression. So we got to get you to where you have a very fluid expression, right? That's the important part.
Effect, and the professor.
Okay, let's listen to it one more time. So I'm going to say 23 to 25.
The reading passage explains an academic concept called diffusion effect, and the professor in the lecture gives an example to further illustrate this idea.
Okay, this is pretty good. I mean, this was pretty fluid. So you have your compound sentence, right? You state the main point of the reading and the listening passage.
Diffusion effect, according to the passage, is described as the effect of sharing information
You want to say it's the effect of sharing
between
information,
two study groups, which led to useless results.
which led to use fewer results. I think fewer is going to work better with a plural count noun, and then which led to fewer results.
The professor gives an example of a study done by some experts to evaluate the effect of exercising activities during work to reduce the tiredness. One group was asked
You could have done a little better on the pacing in that particular
to
sentence.
do some exercise activities every day, and the other group was asked to work as usual.
And the other group was asked to work as usual. That's what I'm looking for. And the other group was asked to work as usual, was asked to work as they normally did.
The two groups shared this information, so experts weren't able to get good results because
Now, the two groups shared this information, so the experts weren't able to get reliable results. That's the fluidity I'm looking for.
the both groups did the same activities.
So, not quite 100% fluid. You have some fluidity of expression and certain parts of your response, but not 100% fluidity of expression. So, I think practice the thought groups and blending a lot. Really go through those 4 lessons in the pronunciation area of my course. That's really, really important for you right now. And then what you can do is practice. If you read a passage, maybe take down some notes, then practice speaking about it. And then make sure you're fluid. Try to be as fluid as you can without a lot of pauses and hesitations. Okay, this particular task, I'm going to put you at 23 to 25 points, like I said initially. TOEFL Integrated Speaking Task number 4, TPO number 61. And I'm listening to this right now. Let's see how you did on this. So far, looking at my notes here, you're having a little bit of trouble. That independent speaking task so far, that's the lowest score, and I think you had more pauses and unnecessary hesitations in that task than the other two, and you held your own on task 3, but still I don't think it's high enough to get you between 3.5 and 4, so you're not quite there yet. So let's listen to this and see how you did with task 4.
In the lecture, the professor explains the two adaptations that allow animals to run fast, and then gives 2 examples to further illustrate the idea.
Okay.
The
to further illustrate the idea, and then gives two examples to further illustrate the idea.
First adaptation, according to the professor, is having tough feet. Tough feet could help animals to
Having tough feet. Is that how they said that? Seems like your paraphrase is a little bit vague, not very precise.
go fast without being hurt from the rough grounds. The professor
So is it because the skin is much thicker on the bottom of the feet of the animals, therefore they can run much faster?
gives an example of the cheetah, which can go fast on hot and rough grounds of the desert. The second adaptation, the professor illustrates
Well, what is it about the cheetah? Can you describe a little bit about the skin on the bottom of the cheetah's feet? Is it pretty thick? Is it leathery?
it
Does it have fur below the feet that helps cushion its fall when it runs?
having long, powerful legs. And she continues with the example of the cheetah, and the professor explains that cheetah have muscular back legs, which
I would say muscular hind legs.
give the cheetah the ability to go for great distance with few steps in no time.
Okay, so I think this one you kind of collapsed the last 10 seconds of the response. That's where you really ran into a lot of delivery issues with fluidity. That's when you started having a lot of pauses and hesitations in there. I think on this one, I'm going to put you about the same. I'm going to say, not maybe it's slightly lower. I'm going to say 22 to 24 on this one. I think when you were trying to describe the feet, the tough feet thing, seems like you didn't fully describe that. What is it about the feet that makes these animals unique and allows them to run at extremely high speeds, right? So I think you didn't quite explain that as well as you could have, and I think you did have some minor delivery issues in this one. So 22 to 24 points on this practice test. I'm grading your first writing task now, and I'll do the integrated task in a minute. So this is the TOEFL independent writing task. And after reading the essay, I think you are between 4 and 5, so very proficient writing. I'm going to say, I'm looking at the essay right now. I'm thinking about 27 points out of 30. So let's read it. Then I may make a few changes here. So you have success is difficult to be defined because it has different meanings and people have different perspectives. In the same way, the needed skills I'm going to just say the needed skills to be, I don't think you need that to be considered. The needed skills to be a successful person are variable because some suggest that they suggest that success needs different skills. Now, the spelling problems that you have, they're not going to count towards your I don't think problems. These are like typos. There's nothing to do with grammar. Okay, so while others believe that only one skill is required, in fact, people should build a wide range of skills to be successful because this will pave the way of achievements and open new doors with more opportunities. So foster the promising journey and then pave the way of achievements. I like the synonyms there. So you have a connection. Even in the next paragraph, you have broaden their choices, which goes to open new doors with more opportunities. So the fact that you can use synonyms to refer back to the two key points in your thesis suggests that you have a pretty sophisticated way of achieving coherence in your writing. It's very easy to repeat exactly the same word. That's what a lot of people will do, but you're going beyond that. Okay, let's keep going. Having different qualifications will make people achieve their goals easier because they'll be able to perform many tasks which could foster the promising journey. I'm going to say foster. You're kind of bringing this up for the first time. So a promising journey. For example, when I started my career as a pharmacist, I was hired to prepare prescriptions for seniors in a nursing home. One day, my manager asked if anyone in the pharmacy could give a vaccine shot to one of the residents who was deaf. I had taken a course. You can say something like, luckily, or maybe fortunately. I had taken a course related to those. We got to clean this up. This is your main problem in the essay was here, related to those who speak with people having this disability, so I volunteered immediately and saved the day. Now again, you put this disability to refer to deaf. Again, your sophistication in using these synonyms to refer back to other words, either in another paragraph or in the same paragraph, very, very good. So you understand the concept of both coherence and cohesion. You say, so I volunteered immediately. Consequently, I enthralled my manager. I'm going to use the word so here, kind of cause effect. So he put me on a fast track scheme to get promoted quickly. Okay, so let's take a look at the paragraph here. So we're looking at 116 words. The example that you give is 88. That's death. But Michael, you only wrote 386 words. Yes, you only wrote 386 words, but you're taking time to really focus each paragraph around a specific example. And even though you only have about 400 words, you're still showing a lot of depth and complexity of thought in the writing. Okay, let's keep going. Second of all, people who seek a prosperous future have to master many skills to broaden their choices when they choose their career. For instance, during uncertain times, I like here how you said for instance instead of for example to introduce this particular detail. During uncertain economic times, people could find it difficult to find a job opportunity that fits. I'm going to make that singular because a job opportunity is singular. So be careful of your subject-verb agreement in adjective clauses. But if they have a wide range of skills, they will receive many job offers. Moreover, many skills such as teamwork spirit, communication skills, and loyalty could be conceived as less crucial traits. But employers recently have valued these characteristics. Also, even these skills could help in choosing a career, such as working, and this is one of these hyphenated words, working in nonprofit organizations which involve personal skills rather than academic degrees. This example wasn't as specific as the one before, right? But you did introduce your example here, but it wasn't as specific, so you could probably have done a little bit better on the specificity of the example in this third body paragraph. That would be my comments there. In conclusion, people with many skills and qualifications are more likely to succeed in their lives because you just want to put they have the tools which act as a powerful impetus to propel their steps. Wow, and that's very good metaphor how you wrote that. In addition, these skills increase their opportunities in finding the right direction to success. Okay, good. So you kind of restated the key points in the body paragraphs using different vocabulary. So what did I give you the score here? I said 4.25 out of 5, 27 points out of 30. Let's look at the 5. Effectively addresses a topic and task. Yes, you did that. is effectively well organized and well developed, using clearly appropriate explanations, exemplifications, and or details, right? You could probably have done a little better in this particular paragraph here with the example that you gave, right? So that would be a slight kind of imperfection there. You have displays unity, progression, and coherence. You are very, very strong in this area. You're using a number of cohesive tools in order to connect the ideas in your writing, and this is not easy. So you repeat words sometimes, you paraphrase and rephrase those ideas sometimes to connect ideas. You're using what we call transition words very effectively. You even use determiners and pronouns to also connect ideas. So the fact that you can use a number of cohesive tools to kind of connect the old and new information together, I mean, that's very, very strong writing. So I stand by my score. I know you didn't write a lot in the essay, but what you did well. I think it's a strong response. I'm going to put you at about 27 points out of 30 on this practice test. I'm getting ready to grade your integrated writing task. So the last one, I'm going to say writing 27 points out of 30, so very strong. And I'm getting ready to read your integrated writing task. And my goodness, you definitely have some very strong writing skills. So let's take a look at the essay. So I'm comfortable putting you at about 28 points on this. So let me just take down some notes here. So I'm going to go over the essay here in just a minute. And again, you have a few spelling errors, but that's not going to be held against you. We all have, when we're writing papers at college, we have spell check programs and all those things. So I don't think that's a major problem. You have a really tight organization of ideas. I'm assuming, I didn't see the passage or the lecture, but it sounds like you have a pretty complete and accurate response, and you organize things very well. So let's take a look at the rubrics one more time. I think you're pretty close to a 5. A response at this level successfully selects the important information from the lecture and coherently and accurately presents this information in relation to the relevant information presented in the reading. You did an outstanding job with that. And it's very easy to understand how you organized your ideas. The response is well organized, and occasional language errors that are present do not result in inaccurate or imprecise presentation of content or connections. Okay, so let's take a look at the essay now. Let's see how you did. So both the reading and the lecture offer differing views on airships. The reading passage lists a number of advantages that make airships I'm going to say, capable. Usually we say are able to. You'll have the be verb in there, are able to. But to make airships capable, I'm going to say of, and change this to replacing airplanes and helicopters. But the professor cast doubt on all. I'm going to just say on all these claims. First, according to the author of the reading passage, airships use balloons for vertical lift and engines for horizontal movement, but airplanes use engines for both. And your punctuation is excellent on this. I like how you only put the comma to separate the two independent clauses. You didn't put the comma after vertical lift because vertical lift and engines are kind of two items together, right? So excellent control punctuation. Consequently, airships, the author believes. And this is even really cool how you got the voice marker not in the beginning of the sentence. They need less fuel and you need to put your be verb in there, and are more economical than airplanes. However, the professor rejects this idea. I'm going to get rid of that, make this just one sentence. explaining. So the professor rejects this idea, explaining that airships use either hydrogen or helium as a lighter than air gas. And both of, I'm going to change it to chemicals here. Both of these chemicals have disadvantages. Moreover, helium is safer than hydrogen, which can easily cause fires, but helium is more expensive and less powerful. So balancing between safety and economic aspects of airships is difficult. You might put asserts the speaker. Just throw that one voice marker at the end there. Second, the reading passage illustrates that even though, so you got that even though, so you have a clause embedded within a clause. Can you pull the grammar off here? Let's see. The reading passage illustrates that even though airships and helicopters can reach locations which have harsh conditions without the need of runways. Okay, if you put the comma here, I think you need one here. So you have that, and then you put that adverb clause in the middle of that noun clause, and then you have the other comma. Helicopters cannot carry heavy weights, so airships can be used efficiently. In tasks such as carrying logs from forests. In contrast, the lecturer challenges this information by illustrating that airships should be in a steady movement in order to, you're having some trouble with be able to. In order to, you don't even need it here. In order to carry the logs, which cannot be achieved especially in, I'm going to just say windy weather, because you're kind of using windy as an uncount noun. And there's no comma needed here because you don't have separate independent clauses. So we have in a steady movement in order to carry the logs, which cannot be achieved especially in windy weather and can lead to a tremendous damage if the airships hit the trees. The author thinks, finally, the author thinks that because of the ability of airships to stay above the surface without being refueled for a long period, I'm going to do the same thing we did before. So if you put the comma here, you should put it right after that noun clause. So that, comma, because of the ability, blah, 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 comma, they can offer the same services of satellites. Conversely, the professor opposes this point of view. Yeah, we want to make sure you don't have too many really super short sentences in there, so combining these helps. Conversely, the professor opposes this point of view, arguing, maybe, that the wind will deprive airships of the capability of staying in one place. Furthermore, airships must be refueled to compensate for the increase in the consumption of fuel that occurs due to the resistance between the airships and the wind. In conclusion, the professor casts doubt on the advantages of airships that the reading passage presents. And I'm going to get rid of the comma here, and finds that airships are not ready yet to become popular. Okay, so it's good. So let's look back. See, I don't think I can give you a 5 on this, right? It's very strong, very organized, very complete, very accurate. But if we go back, here it says, occasional language errors that are present do not result in inaccurate or imprecise presentation of content or connections, right? You had some minor issues with punctuation in there, but guess what? Everybody has problems with that. So forget that. You had some problems with prepositions a few times in the essay, but I don't think it really resulted in inaccurate or imprecise presentation of content or connections. So no major grammar errors in there. It has more frequent or noticeable minor language errors as long as they don't. So it's maybe a little more frequent than a 5. Uh, I think my score is pretty accurate. So I'm going to put you at 28 points on this task. Okay, so let's kind of recap what we did. So I think it's safe to say that your speaking score right now, based on my notes and the full set of practice you just sent me, I'm going to say you're probably right around 24 points. That's where I would put you right now. I'm thinking. The writing, I think, is higher. I think you're at about 28. So, and I can compare. I can compare your writing to Rodrigo, who just completed my course. He had 28 points on the writing section, I think, on December 15th. And your writing is pretty similar to his. I think you guys are writing, you're kicking butt, you're organizing, developing your ideas. You got great control over your grammar, language use, all of those things. So maybe 24 points on the speaking and then 28 points on the writing. That's where you are. So what if you get 25 on the listening and 25 on the reading, 28 and 24, that's going to put you at 12, 17, 2. That gives you a total score of 102 on the TOEFL exam right now. That would be my guess, assuming you get 25 points on the reading and the listening section. Now, if you score lower, then that's going to drop it into the 90s. All right, so Happy New Year. What a great way to start the new year with a 28-point average on the independent and integrated writing task. So great work on that.